God, this man just got treated horribly.
Did?
He just got straight ragdolled, left and right, and that is always it's always so sad. Like, I remember I watched a documentary on Kirby at one point, and one artist, a comic book artist, goes, Jack Kirby was just asking for what in, the 90s was a basic artist contract on a book. He gets to keep his pencils. He gets to tell his own story. He gets to have input on the plot if he's working with someone else. And they couldn't give it to him. And, like, those are just the most basic asks for an artist, especially such a well-established artist like Jack Kirby. I can only imagine how awfully some of the other guys got treated. Shit!
Yeah. I mean, Jack Kirby is from the very beginning, the comics have this thing where, in the old Golden Age and even part of the Silver Age, people either wouldn't use their real names or we wouldn't publish who did anything in a comic because all of the writers and artists were waiting to become real artists, quote unquote.
Yeah, Stan Lee's talked about that too.
Yeah, so like they would just kind of like phase out of it, and Jack Kirby from the very beginning was never ashamed of the fact that he worked on comics, which is a massive thing. And so not only was his name almost always out there, but people knew who Jack Kirby was before they had any inkling of what a comic is, or even more complex stuff that Marvel and DC would do later down the line, building universes and stuff. Like, Jack Kirby was a name for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it's a shame. It's disgusting to see the way he was treated. Like, everyone bitches about, Bill Finger got screwed out of Batman. Jack Kirby got screwed out of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's awful.
It really is. And I mean, Bill Finger, Jack Kirby, it goes to show just in general how comics as an industry have always been kind of problematic and toxic. And when people talk about comics industry now and like how hard it's got get into anything, or how problematic the companies are run, or just how toxic the communities become, this has all been festered and built up to since the beginning. I mean, there's a reason you have what we have now, and why people like Jack Kirby got screwed out of the system.
And honestly, I'm not sure if it's a matter of if it's evolved or it's just never really changed enough, I kind of tend to think it was kind of always this way to varying degrees, ebbed and flowed. Sometimes it got a little bit better, sometimes it got worse, just depending on the year. Because I think, I hate to say it, I think it was always kind of, shitty in one way or the other. And It's just to what degree which part was shitty to the creators. And, and the worst part about it is when you had guys, like, trying to break that, like Todd McFarlane, they kind of ended up shooting themselves in the foot because they came from this culture and they didn't know any other better way to run things. So that's why you had, Todd McFarlane getting in legal, like, Todd McFarlane makes this big, huge case of, artists and creators of comic books need more of a share in the characters they're creating, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go off, launch my own company, and get all these big names to come do stuff for me because they'll agree with my point. Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, Neil Gaiman all create original characters for Spawn. They are objectively the best things about Spawn.
The only good things about Spawn.
Todd McFarlane, so like, so I get to keep these, right? And everyone's like, no, that Grant Morrison's just sitting there and going, no, that's not how that works. you weren't listening to yourself. and like, it's just, he came from that culture, so he just, made a big tiff about the culture, but then perpetuated it himself.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of needed Jack Kirby to strike out on his own and form his own company. And that, unfortunately, never really happened in a big enough way.